seat at the table with some men with confidence.
And welcome to Men in Confidence Sharing, where we, the men of a certain age, share our thoughts, ideas, and opinions in confidence. And today we're joined by two members of the crew. We have myself, Tony, the host. We have Terrence, and we have Rhino. So let's go one by one and say hello to everyone. Hello, Rhino.
What's good, everybody?
And hello, Terrence.
Greetings and salutations, peoples.
All right. So, you know what we're talking about today.
We know.
This is what everyone is talking about. Then, now, forever.
If only.
It's only been a week, but it feels like it's been much longer than that.
Yeah, you ain't never had a friend, never had a Oh my goodness. Every Will Smith song right now is a joke in and of itself now.
Oh my gosh.
The girls of the world ain't nothing but trouble.
I got in one little fight. My mom got scared.
But anyway, so I think we had similar feelings when it came to it. It's like when it first happened, we saw it, we heard it, we understood it, we absorbed it, we had our opinion, and then we were like, okay, let's put it to bed. And then it morphed into like 12 different conversations. Like, what is manhood? What is protecting your woman? Who's a narcissist? Was Will actually upset? Is Will in an abusive relationship? Does anybody care about Chris? You know, like, how far can you go if you're rich? You know, it's like so many different things. There's so many different layers. So I'm just curious. I'm just gonna open up. Like, I'm not even gonna really like throw a question out. I'm just curious to see what are your thoughts and feelings right now.
Can I ask a question, just
Sure.
out of curiosity? Of the three of us, who saw it live or saw it happen?
Nobody. Who's watching the Oscars?
I literally didn't care about the Oscars before, and I probably won't care about it next year either.
I saw
Okay.
a recording.
Okay, I asked. Usually, we try to watch the Oscars. I mean, you know, me being something of a cinephile, nerdy type, and having and working young actress in the household, we kind of gravitate towards that a little bit. However, for whatever divine intervention there was, we weren't watching Sunday night. So I was just curious to see if anybody actually saw it in the moment, because I feel like that gives you a different reaction to the incident, because it was like, oh my gosh, did he just smack the, you know, or whatever. So I was just curious.
Well, for myself, I was I'm gonna treat this like 9/11. I'm gonna tell y'all what it was doing when I heard about the slap heard around the world.
That's what I was thinking too.
And my first response, I was sitting right where I'm sitting right now. Actually, I was gaming, and then I'm flipping through my phone from time to time, and then I see Will Smith slaps Chris Rock, and I'm like, what? So I click on the video, and I hear the joke, and then I watch as Will Smith walked up to Chris Rock and performed the move that seemed almost like martial arts. How perfect it was, and slapped Chris Rock across the face. And Chris Rock was like, I just got slapped in the mouth by Will Smith. And Will Smith went back to his seat, and I'm thinking, okay, what's going on? And long story short, my first initial response was about time somebody slapped Chris Rock in the mouth, because I was on the outs with Chris Rock. And this is just me. I'd be in with an actor, and then I'll be out with them because of something they may say or do. Like, I was on the outs with Jada Pinkett Smith for years. And then she did The Matrix. And then I was like, okay, she's not that bad. You know, I was out with Tom Cruise for years. And then he did Mission Impossible 3, 4, 5. I don't know what number he's on now. But he'll do a Mission Impossible movie, and then I'll be like, okay, I guess Tom Cruise ain't that bad. I'll forgive him this time. But I was kind of on the outs with Chris Rock because of something that he said during the interview that kind of got under my skin. Don't ask me what it was because I don't remember. So when Will Smith slapped him, to me, I was like, oh, this is just justice. This is the culmination of a bank robber in Gotham getting caught by Batman. Justice, vengeance. But my initial response was, hey, you say the wrong thing, you run the risk of getting slapped in the mouth. This is just how it is. And I know a lot of people like to come for Will Smith because of his, they didn't consider his rap music gangsta enough. I'm like, okay, well, guess what? Will Smith has just showed the world that he's from them streets. That was my initial response. But as the week went on, it became more of a, was that the morally correct thing to do? Should he have done that? Probably not. He should not have done that. And then everybody starts piling in and dropping their opinions and making this molehill just Mount Rainier. All of a sudden, it just got bigger and bigger and more blown out of proportion, to the point that actors were popping in the same things, and I'm like, who cares what you think? But this thing just kind of grew, and I gotta say, by the second or the third day, I was just done. And I totally agreed with Questlove's tweet when he said, can we just stop talking about it now? Because I was just done. I was exhausted by the back and the forth, and I was just done. But yeah, that's my experience with this whole slap heard around the world.
Okay, so I know I asked the question about where were you during Will Smith, Chris Rock? You know, I like the 9/11 reference because it does kind of feel like one of them things that next year we'll be talking about when Oscar time rolls around. Where were you when this happened? So anyway, as I mentioned, I didn't see it live or see it happen, saw a recording or whatever. And my initial first thought was, this is a bit. This is a joke. This is like a spot that they're doing. Because, I mean, I heard you mention Will Smith is from them streets. No, he's not. This is the dude from, granted, he's from Philly, and I'm not saying that he didn't have hard times coming up in Philly or whatever, but this dude's like a MIT accepted, brilliant young man who put that on pause so he could try rapping and turn into a pretty successful rapper, whether it was gangster, corny, storytelling, witty, funny, whatever you want to call it, he was successful, bottom line. And then parlayed that into this brilliant acting career. Do I think gangster, fighter, you know, somebody full of bravado and like puffed up chest and walking around with that energy to slap somebody? No. So for me, I initially thought it was a bit. But once the reality kicked in, like, okay, well, no, that was real. That was out of character. That was weird. That immediately made me get concerned because I felt like something made him get outside of himself to do that. And that's concerning, right? And after this all happened, within like maybe an hour or so of scrolling through the internet and just kind of looking at different things. And I remember seeing a tweet from Mick Foley where he said, if that had been Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson instead of Chris Rock, slap never happens. And I get the idea that, well, yeah, Dwayne Johnson's like, that's The Rock. You ain't just gonna run up on The Rock. But I'm gonna take it back a step and say, I don't know that he'd have ran up on D.L. Hughley like that. I don't think he'd have ran up on Jerry Seinfeld like that. And I'm using other comedians for the sake of argument to say that Chris Rock doesn't strike anybody as a fighter. Kind of the same way people label Will as corny and not the fighter. You're not going to look at Chris Rock as being like this dude who's going to respond with in kind. D.L. Hughley, on the other hand, you might think he gives that aura of somebody who will get with you for sure. So I don't know if that would have went down the same way. Jerry Seinfeld got long money. Long money fight different. So I don't think he'd have done it. He'd have went that way either. That's my personal opinion. And that's not me calling Will a punk. That's just, you know who you can and who you can't mess with. I think we all kind of have an innate kind of BS meter or whatever you want to call it to detect, yes, I can poke you. No, I'm not messing with that dude. So that was kind of my sentiment on it. And I was like, okay, well, apologies will be issued or whatever, and it's over. And then, like it's been mentioned, all of these layers started being unpacked and unpeeled, and it's just like, who knew that this was going to come from? And I found myself really just kind of feeling empty and hollow and gutted for both of them, because now, after this incident, neither one of them are going to be viewed in the same light. Chris Rock now has to deal with this idea of, well, shoot, he make a joke I don't like, I can just run up on him. What's he gonna do? Clearly nothing. Will Smith, on the other hand, is like, bruh, is this who you are now? This dude who's out here smacking people because they said something he don't like? Or are you reacting out of turn because you have a bigger crisis going on in your life? Or what's going? There's a whole lot there to unpack and dive into, and it's just like, I was just saying, that was a scary, dark, deep cave. I don't know if I want to go down, because that's, everybody has skeletons in their closet. I don't know if I want to see what them skeletons are.
Okay. So I just happen to be surfing on Google, and it just shows up on the feed. Like, Will Smith slaps Chris Rock at Oscars. Like, what? Like, this must be some skit on YouTube. No, that's really Chris Rock. Oh, snap, that's really Will Smith. Bow, that's really a slap. And it's like, I can't believe this is real. Like, maybe it's staged. Then I heard the words, nope, this is real. Like, dropping F-bombs on regular TV. And, like, I had my thoughts and I was kind of settled. And then it's like, I started thinking, I've heard so many different opinions, and I started thinking about this from so many different angles. And there are a few that hit home with me in good and bad ways. one of them is the expectations of a man. What is considered manly? What is considered... I'll leave it at that. What is considered manly, right? Is the manly thing Will Smith? Big, bold, slap somebody when they speak something, out of line? Or is the manly thing Chris Rock? To be in control even when your emotions might be involved. And I think one of the things that got to me was I look at what Will did, and I would lean towards I'm all about control. Like, I believe that is what separates us from the animals, is the ability to think outside of act react. Right? We have thought processes. We can make decisions, and your decisions should be able to overrule your feelings. And to me, that is like the number one quality in being a man, is being able to remain in control through intense situations. You need to be clutch. Like, the first 3 quarters don't matter. What do you do when it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 buzzer? Like, to me, that is the definition of a man. And I look at what Will did, and the more I think about it is, that was the best case scenario for him. What happened? Like, after he walked up there and slapped him, that went as well as it could have went. So let's revisit, right? He slapped, walked away, sat down, and got to yell at Chris Rock. This is on national TV, 4K, on a nationally broadcasted channel. A few things could have happened differently. Chris Rock could have fought back. Now you got 2 black men tussling on the Oscars on national TV. That's worse. He could have slapped Chris Rock. Chris Rock fought back and lost. Now you the bully that beat up Chris Rock on TV instead of just the dude that slapped him.
That's a point. That's a point I didn't think about.
Or how about this? You could have walked up there, slapped Chris Rock fought back, and whooped your behind on national TV. Now you the dude that got stomped out on national TV. And it's like, all of them are bad, but the best of the worst situations is what happened to you. And it's also this idea of the protect black women thing. How do you properly protect black women? Like, do you jump in front of a moving train to protect the black woman? Like, do you commit career suicide to protect your woman from words? Like, do you put your entire livelihood on risk for that reason? And some people agree with it. I'm one of the people that's like, no, that's short-sighted. You address it later on. You don't physically... Well, okay, so I'll say this, and I might be drifting off. I don't believe that words should equate to physical violence. That's just me. I don't believe that a person to the left saying something should equal them getting punched in the mouth or getting slapped in the face. Especially at the Oscars in 4K when you're Will Smith and you're about to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. When you're at the mountaintop and you're 5 feet away and you just jump off the mountain. Like, you just throw it all away. Like, that's that's just insanity to me. Like to, and I'm not negating humanity, but at the same time, you gotta perform in those moments. Like that's what being a man is, man. You have to perform in those key moments. And I'm looking at faces, so please respond.
So that topic has honestly been a lot of the conversation that I'm hearing personally, right? And I want to say I'm torn on it, but I'm not entirely torn, in the sense that I know for me personally, like to think that I wouldn't have walked up on stage and just smacked and walked off. You know, I've tried to think of this thing going in different ways, right? You know, Will Smith is a witty guy. He's not a comedian, but I mean, he got some comedy about him. He's clever. I'd like to think he could have had an exchange with Chris, a back and forth, even if it was like, you know, a heated version of playing the dozens, so to speak. I think something like that plays out much better than the slap, to the point to where you had a conversation, and then, you know, if you do have to walk up on him, you firmly put an arm around this dude and kind of guide him off stage and be like, all right, homie, and then we can handle this one of two ways. You can keep popping off at the mouth, or we can do this like gentlemen. I mean, or we can get into some gangster stuff. You know what I'm saying? But do it outside of the world's view. And then if you come to that point where you're throw hands, best man wins, and you walk away.
Let me interrupt you really quick, because I think this is part of the problem that I have. Was the offense really that bad? Like, we talk about all these different reactions he could have had to a quote-unquote terrible offense. Was the offense really that bad?
Well, based on my understanding of the situation, it was a very personal offense. And when I say personal offense, I don't mean because it was his wife. I think because of her condition, the hair loss thing has been a sensitive thing that she struggled with, and she's kind of opened up to have been dealing with it, and it kind of affected her mental health or whatever, which makes sense to me. I can understand as a woman some of their womanliness, if that's the right word, is associated with their hair, right? You know, it's part of what is perceived as beautiful or not beautiful, or that whole thing. So in that arena, I get it. It makes sense. And if it's something that she's been struggling with as a spouse, and you see your spouse struggling with something like that, being empathetic to their needs and knowing what they've dealt with and how it's been hard on them, I can see how it would be a really sensitive subject. So
doesn't equate to violence, physical.
Well, let me jump in right here because I'm sitting here chomping at the bits. Well, first, I want to address what Tony said about what he said earlier. I disagree. I think it's just how it is, and this is how it is. You run your mouth, you run the risk of getting slapped in the mouth. That's just across the board. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that's the move that Will should have made. But to echo the words of Chris Rock in one of his earlier stand-ups, nobody is above a butt whooping. None of us are. I've said the wrong thing before too, whether I was right or wrong. and I got slapped in the mouth. I got slapped in the face. It just is what it is. Let's not pretend that that's not an option. That's an option. Second, we all, for the most part, have a tamed beast within us. We've learned self-control over the years. We've got our beast nice and tamed and behind cages. And I think what happened to Will was he experienced a moment of weakness. It's that little moment of inattention at the zoo when, you know, the animals slip out of their enclosure and they get into the general public in the flow of traffic of the people who come to just watch the animals. And that's when it becomes a problem. And I think Will, in his moment of weakness, even though he had his beast nice and caged up, because if you follow his social media, if you watch any of his old videos from YouTube, the man is all about self-control. He's all about working out his relationship. And he's already in the public eye. His wife is already in the public eye. If he hides his relationship with his wife and the things they go through, the people are going to drag him for it. If he's out front with it like he has been, people are going to drag him for it. But at least he dealt with it. At least he made a point to show that this is how I'm handling things. Because a lot of people wouldn't be that up front with their relationships. I've known people that have hidden how terrible their relationships were. I've done it, you know, but he decided that I'm in the public eye, my wife's in the public eye. People already know. I would rather get ahead of this thing than to let people just run wild with whatever proof they think they have. So this man had his beast tamed, and in a moment of weakness that crept up on him, he responded the way that he did. And it was not the thing that he should have done. I mean, it's a catch-22. If he sat there, he would look like a punk. He would have been belittled before his wife's eye. Oh, you didn't protect me. You didn't defend me. If he did something, yeah, you protected me, but now you got to resign from the academy. Now, whatever movie projects you got in the work, whatever music projects you got in the work, all of that comes to a screeching halt. And your income is now being affected. Because you may be a multi-millionaire, but how much of that is liquid cash that you actually can access right now? How much of that is tied up in property and projects and whatnot? You know? So, and just the way this whole thing is just polarized everybody. Everybody either now loves Will Smith and super hates Chris Rock, or everyone now super loves Chris Rock and hates Will Smith. It's just, it really has brought these issues to the front to make us think, did he do the right thing? And hindsight is 2020. We can sit here and speculate all we want, but as someone who's had that beast tamed and been caught at a weak moment and responded in an irrational manner, even though I was trying to be rational, I responded in an irrational manner. I get Will Smith. I get it. I totally understand. I'm gonna lose everything if I punch this dude in the face. Oh well, sorry about your face, bro. You just respond the way that you respond. Whether it's right or not, you just deal with the fallout. And at this point, he's just dealing with the fallout. And love him or hate him, his career, his talent, it speaks for itself. That's established. You can't touch that. You can't denigrate that. He's going to always be Will Smith. He's going to always be the first rapper to receive a Grammy for his music, for a genre that people didn't even consider real music for years, even though it was and is. You know, it's just, you know, what can you do? You're not going to please everybody.
I can't go along with that. And okay, so here's my problem. Like, his animal got loose in the cage, right? That's the way it sounds. Okay, that animal was laughing when he first heard the joke. When the joke was first told, that animal was laughing in that cage like, ha, 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 ha. And then he looked over like, oh.
I saw that too, but there's a delay. There's a delay between him laughing and between him getting up and walking up on stage.
Exactly.
I want to see what happened in between him making the decision to get up and walk up on stage. But I get where you're coming from.
So if he was so offended, why did he even laugh at the joke? If he was so hurt, if he was so out of control, you see what I'm saying? How did he even laugh at the joke?
I see what you're saying, and I'm definitely not gonna make an excuse for him. I'm not here to pardon him or to condemn Chris Rock. But I understand.
To be honest, I actually do feel for Will, but it bothers me for several reasons. Because Will Smith made a decision that's bigger than him. Will Smith made a decision that makes black people, and in particular black men, look out of control. If Will Smith, which is supposed to represent the clean ones of us, the best of us, the most in control of us, if Will Smith has the potential to lose control at the Oscars, which one of us have control? Who has control? Like, how are you
Denzel?
Maybe, hopefully, you know, but I'm like,
I get what you're saying. I just threw that out there because he was one of the people who kind of consoled him. So, but I see what you're saying, and I didn't mean to jump in like that.
Our image took a huge hit on that day. Like, our image took a huge hit, and it may take a while to recover. Just like, I don't know if y'all realize, but that Oscar was actually being black run. So this was the first time black people are actually in charge of running the Oscars.
Yep, Will Packer.
The first time a black person is actually running the Oscars, there's a fight between two, you see what I'm saying? And it's like, you get one shot. Oh, you messed up your shot. Like we should have never let you.
It bothers me that we have to be 10 times better just to be accepted. That bothers me so much.
I think it is what it is. Like,
well,
go ahead.
What I was gonna say to that point was another topic of conversation that's been happening in my area right now is so supposedly the joke that started all of this wasn't even something that Chris Rock wrote. This was something that was handed to him by somebody on the comedy writing staff, right? And the question becomes, why was he given this joke to tell? Did the joke writer know potentially how this
could... G.I. Jane joke?
Yeah.
So that was a scripted joke?
It wasn't one that he came up with. It wasn't something that he did of his own volition. Well, let me rephrase it. It wasn't something that he planned and wrote out and researched or whatever. It wasn't like his thing. He was doing a bit that somebody else had written for him.
There are writers. Chris Rock didn't come up with all of that material. There's other writers.
It sounded off the cuff. That's why I asked.
So, it's kind of like promo in wrestling. Somebody probably gave him a couple of bullet points to hit and just go hit the, you know what I'm saying? G.I. Jane reference and whatever else he said. So then the question becomes, why was he given that joke to go say? Did the person who wrote the joke know that this was a sensitive subject for her? Because typically when people write jokes, you research what you're writing about, so what you're making jokes on, so you can kind of know where that line is of going far or too far or whatever. And
do they consider that?
I think that's over. I think that's
I think to a point they do, you know, because had this been just fully talking about, you know, Jada's and her condition, her hair loss is due to alopecia. The alopecia is a byproduct of some autoimmune disease, right?
Right.
So had the autoimmune part been like the focal point versus the alopecia, the joke probably doesn't get told because that's a little too sensitive. It's like, okay, that sounds more terminal. Alopecia, hair loss, that's in a neutral area. It's still okay to kind of poke a little fun at.
So, question: how much do y'all know about alopecia? I'm not asking as if I'm not asking as if I know a lot, but I'm just asking how much do you know about alopecia, other than the name, right? Like, does it have another symptom other than hair loss?
I'm not sure. That's something I would have to Google. I just know a friend of mine, a guy I went to college with, you know, Mexican guy, so thick black hair. Then all of a sudden, all of his hair falls out, except for a few patches. You know, it was me that told him, "Hey man, you might as well just shave it all off, and you look better bald." And he's been bald ever since.
I guess because I think people are trying to make it sound like a more complicated thing than it really is.
Right.
They knew Jada shaved her head bald. Somebody wrote a bald joke. Dude, I think it's 2 bullet points. I don't think it's 15. I think it's 2 bullet points. They may or may not know why, you know, what caused Jada to shave her head bald or what the reason was. Like, we know now because of everything that happened. But I don't know if Chris Rock knew or writer 367 who wrote the joke knew. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's that complicated.
I'm going to push back on that a little bit because my understanding is she's actually talked about this some on one of her red tables.
Everybody don't watch that though.
It's enough of a known thing where people, I think people who are in the celebrity know. It's not like this is a one-off or a up-and-coming program. I mean, this has got a couple seasons under his belt at this point.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so hypothetical question. If Ellen announced on her show that she was now straight instead of homosexual, would that enter your world? Would you find out about it other than seeing it in a headline? Would you know? Just because her show is big and she said it on there, you don't watch her show, how would it reach you?
I'm pretty sure that would be mainstream news.
Okay. But you see what I'm saying? Like, that's Ellen. Jada ain't there, right? And I watched the Red Table Talk, and I wasn't aware of that. like I don't think that's fair to assume just because something's in the wind that you should have heard it. And you should have known what it is, you should have processed it, and you should have taken that into consideration. I think that's unfair to put that expectation on any and everybody.
I'm not necessarily putting an expectation on somebody specifically like that. What I'm saying is, even in breaking down the alopecia versus the autoimmune thing, the alopecia may have been the known issue, The autoimmune thing was probably played a little bit closer to the chest and may not have been as known. So A leads to B, B leads to C, yada yada. And I think because people, like in most of these situations, you know a piece of the story, the piece that you know doesn't strike you as like, oh, well, that's not like a terminal issue. So that might still be enough that we can poke fun at, you know, because if her hair loss had been, say, a cancer, joke doesn't happen.
Right. No.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Alopecia has some extremes. You may experience hair loss, but some people have been known to grow their hair back. And then you got other people, like my old college mate, his hair never came back. So there's different extremes. But you got to consider Jada is an actress. She is in the public eye. And people in the public eye, they're very sensitive about the way they look, especially with women. Years ago, I heard Toni Braxton went bankrupt, and then I learned that to all of that stuff that she has to do to look beautiful in the clothes and stuff, that costs a pretty penny. And they have to really, I kind of think actors, and they kind of get run through the ringer, because they're bringing in so much money. But as an actress, of course she would be sensitive about that. I mean, she could have worn a wig and nobody would have been none the wiser. Or maybe they would have been, it would have been less of a big deal, but still it's a big deal for her, and especially with women in general are concerned about their looks. It's just even with my coworkers, if they're having a bad hair day, I'm not going to say anything to them. I'm not going to even hint around that. Or if I do deal with it, I might be like, "What's up with your hair?" Not trying to make fun of you or anything. I would preference it, but still, I mean, it's a woman. Her hair is a special thing to her, and she has this issue, and she might not be in that place where she wants to talk about it.
So let me ask everyone this. Okay, so it sounds like it's a very serious deal, right? As far as what was said. Do you feel he acted appropriately? Do you feel that his response was equal the offense?
No.
Okay, so how big of a gap is that? Because I'm really trying to figure out how bad was the offense, because I guess I don't see it as being bad enough to risk everything that Will risked. And to be honest, Will is still at risk right now. Chris Rock can wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what, I think I might press charges. I mean,
that's the point.
He got evidence. We done all seen it.
And from what I'm to understand, he doesn't need to press charges. The police can just come in and be like, we're going to process you.
Or the Oscar Academy could.
Yeah, or somebody else could call the police and be like, yeah, we want it happened on our property. We want to protect ourselves, and we want him arrested.
So to answer your question, how bad was the offense? I feel like that in itself is one of these things that this incident has unpacked in the conversation that has evolved from this. How sensitive or not sensitive are we to things that are said? Used to be when we were coming up, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's not the society we live in anymore. Words are hurtful. Words can push people to, mental health breaks and push people to a place where they are contemplating doing harmful things to themselves and stuff, and you have to be sensitive to that. And admittedly, that's not my go-to because of how I came up, in the sense that, you know, calling somebody a name or picking fun at them wasn't necessarily as egregious as it is in today's society. So I think looking at things from that, through that lens, no, the offense didn't warrant a slap. I mean, in my head, my thoughts was like, it's not like he called her a B, you know. That to me would have been a little bit more egregious. And all right,
I think
it would have at least made more. It would have at least made more sense that, to me, if that was what was said specifically. But go ahead.
I think the biggest reason that this is even a discussion is because it's Will Smith and Chris Rock, and it was on national television. These are two people who've been in the public eye for decades. That's why this is a topic. That's why this is a discussion. If it was just Pookie and Will from Bel Air on the corner, and Pookie said something slick, or maybe he just said something and just caught Will from the corner on a bad day and Will shot them in his mouth, it wouldn't even have made the news. But because these are two people in the public eye, it's polarized America. And not to put on my tinfoil hat, but I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat. It's been the perfect distraction from all the stuff that America should be worried about, that's happening, that's not being talked about. But because everyone's focused on Will and Chris. But as far as intrinsically, on the most basic level, that was a very, very bad move. He should not have slapped them in the mouth. Don't get me wrong. I still believe that you run the risk of getting slapped in the mouth if you say something wrong or you set somebody off. You still run that risk. But that doesn't make it right.
So I think one of my inner values is messing up this conversation, because one of the things I kind of believe in is intent matters as much as what's actually said. Right. It's not just that. It's a difference between saying something harmful by accident versus saying something harmful with the intent to hurt. Right? I don't think that Chris Rock was malicious with his words. Like, I don't think that he went in trying to verbally throw a punch. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
okay.
I think he went in just trying to make a joke, like he did before with the couple before, and just kept it going. You know.
Okay.
So, I that may be one of the issues that I have. Like, I don't think that it was intentionally offensive. And
right.
To me, I think that thinking like how a man should handle that. If you were offended, or if I were offended, I offended, my wife's offended, I think that's kind of the same thing. If we as a couple are offended, and I know this guy, this is Chris Rock, this is not some stranger, right? This is a dude that they both have worked with before, both have met several times, been in several projects before. Jada and Chris Rock have been in movies together. Like, and it's to the point where, like, okay, if Chris offended me or offended us, I would, off camera, have a conversation with Chris. Chris, what you said bothered me. What you said bothered us. This is how I feel. Give him the opportunity to recant or apologize or even double down. And then you take action. Like, give him the opportunity. You see what I'm saying? Like,
right.
This is how we feel. Chris Rock might be like, oh, I didn't realize that I hurt you. my bad. I apologize, Will and Jada. Or, F y'all Negroes. Yeah, I meant to say it. You know? Like, you want some shoe shine? Like, you want me to shine it up? And then you close-handedly hit him in the face. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
give him the opportunity, because he may not realize that he did that damage. Like, if that's someone that you know, if that's someone that you've worked with, that's someone that you have a relationship with, give them an opportunity.
And that was honestly one of my first thoughts, was like, give him an opportunity to walk that statement back. Like, look, okay, my bad. I didn't know this was a sensitive topic or whatever. But again, you approach the person and you try and have that conversation man to man. You know, there's a way in my mind that when a joke was told, even if he laughed first and realized, oh shoot, she doesn't find that funny. All right, man, look, you tread on thin ice, or something to kind of put that buffer or warning sign up. Like, look, you are entering into an unfriendly zone, so you may want to either hit the gas, and that's not what you want to do, or you can backpedal, you can ease out of it, you can amend, recant, whatever, and we all good. But oh, you said something, oh shoot, she's not liking this, now I got to handle it. Part of me wonders if that's not some of what drove this too, is now he's on the spot and feels like I got to go and respond because this didn't go over and wife's not happy. You know, there's an old saying, if mama's not happy, nobody's happy.
Can I tell you one of the things that bothers me about it is, you know, like Terrence, how you mentioned that he wouldn't have done that if Dwayne Johnson was up there. I felt it was very calculated, man. I feel like he went up there with the intentions to not punch, but slap Chris Rock, knowing that a slap to a black man is more offensive than being punched in the face. Like, you might as well spit on him. Like, he went up there knowing that he was going to slap him on TV and knew that he couldn't do anything about it. He knew that he couldn't retaliate. He knew that. And that's what he went up there to look like a badass, basically. I'm gonna slap this dude, and because he's working right now, you see what I'm saying? Because he's on the clock, he can't do nothing to me. So I'm gonna look like the man. Bow! Take that, and I'm gonna strut my way back down in my seat, because he on the clock. He can't just get up and act all willy-nilly because he's still on the job. I don't know. That
was risky, because the same way he got up feeling like I'm about to go show my colors. Oh, you decide you want to show your colors on me, huh? Same way you don't need this. You ain't worried about repercussions because you got money. I'm not exactly broke either, so I'm going. It could have absolutely gone a different way.
But I think that's the whole problem, because he knows who Chris Rock is, right? Like,
true.
He knew who would retaliate and who wouldn't. So he singled him out, used him as an example to make himself look bigger and badder at Chris Rock's expense. And I know some people want to paint it as he was being fragile in a moment, and it didn't look like. And don't get me wrong, I think Will got several things going on with him right now. Will needs some help, but that moment looked very calculated. That moment, it looked like a chess move, right? It didn't look like someone playing a video game and just hitting buttons, just trying to make something happen. It looked like a chess move. It looked like I took my piece and move it here, knowing that you don't have the ability to move here, and here. Like, it looked very calculated to me. But that's
I can't, like, again, putting on my tinfoil hat. And I know I keep saying that, but it doesn't escape me that you got two veteran actors here. These guys have been acting for years. You know, it has crossed my mind that maybe this was an act.
it's not.
And okay, yeah, I know, but just allow me to wear my tinfoil hat and go through this thing for a moment. Just the way the slap looked, it looked like it could have been a lot harder. You know, and again, why the slap? And why did Chris pull his head in and brace himself for what was coming? I understand Will was coming and he didn't have a smile on his face. You know, so Chris braced himself. And there was other things. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it right now, but I saw that video of him and his wife when they dressed up before they were headed out to the Oscars, and just the comment that was made about, you know, getting ready to go and cause some trouble or something like that was said, and it kind of makes me wonder how much of this was intentional. Like, and it kind of makes me think about the situation with Kanye and Taylor Swift. You know, why would Kanye get on stage like that and embarrass her like that? You know, Taylor Swift was about to, you know, she's about to blow up, and Kanye gets on stage and basically just sullies her entire moment. You know, sullies it, you know, and it embarrasses her. But she didn't suffer financially afterwards. In fact, it seemed like she got bigger.
I would say she didn't do too bad afterwards.
Right. And Chris Rock, he had it immediately after the Oscars. He had a show in Boston. Those tickets was going for $40 a pop. Pre-slap. Post-slap, they were going for $300 a pop. And I think the New York Post posted a video of not the whole show, but just him coming out and how he was dealing with it. And he was still being amazingly humble about it. Like, yeah, I'm still processing this. But I can't help but think these are two veteran actors. Of course they can pull this off and make it seem like, oh, we totally got beef. You know, but, you know, to what end? And I'm taking the tinfoil hat off now.
I think it's way too damaging to do that as an act, because right now Will is swirling the train, and Chris Rock is going to be, unfortunately, the butt of a joke for the rest of his life.
I see you doing the air quotes, but look.
No. The reason why I did the air quotes is because Will Smith's following almost doubled on social media. So did Chris Rock's. So that's why I'm like,
that's nice, but I mean, at the end of the day, this man just had to resign from didn't have to, but he resigned from the Oscar committee, right? A movie project that he had lined up now looks like it's getting canceled. So this is absolutely indirectly affecting his bottom line, which was something that Tony kind of led in with earlier. Like, is it really worth affecting my pockets over? It's like, I get it. You get to a certain point where you have enough money that you'll never spend it all. True. But do you really put your livelihood at risk and for sake of an act? Maybe that one seems a little bit a little bit harder for me to process. One thing I did want to kind of double back to was this other conversation that we haven't really touched on much was the whole protecting Black women aspect of it, because I don't want to not address that in the sense that we absolutely, as Black men, have a obligation to protect Black women. And you know, what you feel is protection is going to vary man to man. You know, it's kind of like what you feel as an offense is going to vary man to man. I'm just putting that out there because I don't think you can unilaterally say all of us feel that this XYZ is offensive. I mean, I'm sure there are some things that are pretty self-explanatory, but for the most part, I feel like we have an obligation to do so. In this instance, I totally see how the mantra of protect Black women can come up and how it looks on the surface as that's what he was doing. And in that lane alone, I give a little credence. Do I feel like he could have protected her in a different way? Absolutely. I just want to kind of reiterate the point that protection doesn't always have to come at the cost of pummeling somebody. At least not as your first step.
Okay, so a wise man once said that Twitter isn't real.
True story.
So it doesn't matter how many followers they gave. Twitter isn't a real place. Okay, so let's talk about the whole protection thing. Okay, Black men are obligated to protect Black women. Do you feel that that obligation goes both ways?
I mean, I do.
Yeah.
I mean,
so are Black women also expected to protect Black men? Obligated. Let's use the same word, obligated.
I would dare say yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, you know,
So,
we're a team or we're not.
So hypothetical situation. Let's say that there's a Black man and a Black woman, and this Black man is taking shots in the media, and this Black woman who's with him is not protecting him. Matter of fact, she's the reason why he's taking a lot of the fire. Does he protect her back? Even though she's not really protecting him.
It depends on what you think being a man really is about. I would lean towards yes, in the sense that if we're talking about this from a man-woman perspective, there's typically supposed to be a fairer sex and a more protective sex. And because if you're a traditionalist who believes in those types of things, then yeah, because I don't think that her protection of him should exceed what he would do for her.
Okay. So let's take the hypothetical aside and let's substitute Will and Jada in this.
Okay.
Have you seen Jada protect Will at all?
I can't say that I have.
There was a pause there for a reason.
Okay, so let's equate trouble and chaos with a fire. Let's say Will is on fire. Would you say that Jada has doused it with water or thrown gasoline on it?
I think she's taken the biggest 5-gallon bucket full of gasoline going in this direction. I don't know.
I was gonna say she's probably shooting at this fire with a super soaker instead of a fire truck hose.
So, and I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. I don't want it to sound like Tony say don't protect black women, because I'm not saying that at all. But in this individual circumstance, how do you protect someone that is not protecting you and pretty much putting you in the line of fire? She's the reason why you are under attack. Like, basically, she gave the enemy your coordinates. Like, you're under fire because of her. How do you handle that? Like what's the right way to do? Do you protect her in spite yourself? Like, do you rip off your arm to use it as a shield to protect her? Because that's
a hard question.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like if a bullet is coming at her, you do like Secret Service as the president, and you take it in your chest instead of her taking it. Like if someone's shooting at her leg, you put your chest in the way. Like that's the way it's looking to me. Like I don't know.
How about not my chest in the way, but put my leg in the way to take the block that shot, and then
let me interrupt you there. I specifically said that because the amount of damage done to Jada with the joke just being told and being left alone versus the amount of damage being done to Will because he acted on that. Like, those are two entirely different levels, right? So let's say that the joke was malicious and I knew you had alopecia and I knew you had an autoimmune disease and I made a joke about your hair and now you're upset and you're going to go home and you're going to be upset and you're going to be sad about it for a little while. And then you're probably going to eventually get over it, right? Whereas we've been talking about Will for about a week and a half? And this is going to affect his career for years. And this is one of the reasons why it bothers me about his decision. It ain't just going to affect him. It's going to affect his family. It's going to affect his staff. People that work for him are going to make less money. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's some kid that's not going to get a Christmas present because his daddy worked for Will Smith and Will Smith went and slapped somebody on the stage. I'm sorry, little Jimmy. You can't have a PlayStation 5 this year because Will Smith wanted to be a fool and slap somebody. You know?
I get what you're saying. It's a little hyperbole, but I get what you're saying. It just...
I don't know what the right answer is. I know I was in a situation where I was loved but not respected. And then I later realized I wasn't loved at all. And I did the best thing that I could do. And I got myself out of the situation because I realized I'm not obligated to do anything. My obligations are to protect me. And plus, that person didn't want to marry me anyway. We talked about it many times. She brought it up many times. And I was all for it. Let's do it. What are we waiting on? We've been together 8 years. But a point came when it finally really dawned on me that, hey, look, I'm being told that I love you, but I don't see the respect that accompanies that. So I got out of it. I just, all right, bye. You know, and I understand Will's situation is a little different because he's actually married to her, but at the same time, I don't see why he can't just remove himself from the situation. Look, the kids are adults now. They're gonna have to learn. As much as I tried to make this work and posted it on my social media about how to work things out, this isn't working out.
So let me jump in because I want to just run off a little bit of what you said as far as being loved and being respected. So we want to protect each other, right? As far as black men and black women, right? We want to have that level of protection. I see a flaw here. And if you think that I'm going too far, let me know. How long have Will and Jada been married? A long time, right?
Right.
Okay, so Chris Rock said the joke. Will eventually laughed. Then he saw Jada's reaction. Then he got up and was about to go to the stage. I believe that if you love your husband and you wanted to protect your husband, you would have stopped your husband and be like, baby, no. You about to throw your career away, even though it's to protect me. That is a short-sighted decision. Please sit down and we'll address it later. Or we'll do something different. Or we'll do anything except you go up there and hit him. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't see it coming from the other side. Matter of fact, I don't know if y'all seen a video, but it was showing that after Will Smith went up there and he did that, she laughed.
That I did not see.
And so I'm just going to say this to be clear, because I may sound like evil black man right now. I'm not saying do not protect black women. What I am saying is that black woman in particular has not shown protection for Will. And how do you protect someone that is not protecting you? Like, is that wise? Is that wise to sacrifice yourself like that? Like, you're basically a martyr.
Right.
And if he was just one man, okay, that's his decision. If you just want to be a martyr, be a martyr. But bruh, you're not just a businessman, you're a business man. There are several other families that rely upon you.
Right.
And for you to throw away your stuff, you're throwing away other people's stuff too. So that's my 2 cents.
I hope he figures something out. And I really wish America wouldn't just throw him away over this mistake, because there's a lot of people that have done worse and have committed way worse offensive acts on and off camera.
Harvey Weinstein still has his Oscar.
Right. So I was just talking to Terrence about how I read that.
I don't think he's going to be thrown away, but I do absolutely feel like this is going to diminish the stars of both men. And that is probably the most tragic and unfortunate part of this, is that, you know, in a 10-second clip, you know, or whatever it was, I know it was more than 10 seconds, but whatever it was, 2 of our brightest stars have been diminished.
I agree entirely. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad.
Absolutely.
Well, I feel like we can keep going, but I also feel like we need to wrap it up.
We probably need to wrap this up.
I think we probably want to wrap this up because that's where we started.
Dude, it's been a week, man. I'm tired. There's something inside of me that's tired of this
stick
topic.
a fork in it. It is done.
Tired of this situation. Oh my goodness.
So, what lessons have we learned? Don't slap anybody on camera. Wait until the camera's off.
Right?
But anyway, unless y'all have anything additional to add, I'll toss the Terrence for the closing.
man, this has been an exhausting topic for real. But thank you all for listening. If there's any layer to this that we failed to even remotely address, and I'm sure there are plenty, leave us a comment. You know, this is one of the things that a couple months from now we may need to revisit because we've had time to kind of look at what happened and how things played out. And that could be fun, or I won't say fun, interesting. But in the meantime, thank y'all for listening. Like, share, subscribe. God bless you. Good night. Deuce.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace out. Peace.